Welcome, Sydney Andrews. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Well, I'm so excited to have you on. I have wanted you to come on here for a really long time.
I know it feels like a long time coming. I know I just saw you recently, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to connect!" And it's finally happening, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So we got to see each other at a Bossy event, which we will get to towards the end. I want to talk about Bossy. But right now, I'd love our learners, our listeners to learn a little bit more about you
Okay.
and your journey, and a little bit about your story. So, could you take us through all the way from childhood to kind of college around that in your soccer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was born deaf and hard of hearing. Was not diagnosed until the age of 2. At the age of 2, I got hearing aids, and then that kind of began my journey on, what it's like to be a deaf individual out there in the real world. So started playing at the age of 5. My mom's cousin, who I really call him my uncle, he was putting his kids through soccer, and he said, "Hey, do you think Sydney would want to play soccer?" And they said, yep. And then I've been playing ever since. Can't get me away from the game. It's been great. So played all the way up through high school, through college. And it was really in college where I found out about the deaf women's national team. So I was getting recruited to play at Washburn University. I ended up not going there. I went to a different school. So sorry about that. So he knew the coach at the time for the deaf women's national team, put me in contact via email. So it was kind of by happenstance. I sent an email, got asked to come to the next camp, which was in February of 2012. And that was in Atlanta, first time flying by myself, first time being in an environment with individuals just like myself, which was also kind of putting me in a situation where I felt like a fish out of water, even though it's the place where I feel most at home. And then I've been on the team ever since. So the rest is history. That's kind of a very quick synopsis of how the soccer journey happened for me and how I found my way to the U.S. Deaf Women's national team.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So growing up as a youth player,
Mhm.
was it really difficult to play having a hearing impairment, or was it because the game, everyone always says, it's a universal game, but it really isn't the most inclusive game if you're hard of hearing. And
Mhm.
so, how was that as a youth player for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that for me, when I think back to what it was like as a youth, I don't think I really understood or felt it as I do now, right? I think now, looking in retrospect, the feeling that I feel now, I think puts all of that in perspective. So I think the soccer stuff, that was what was the level playing field for me. So I played just like everybody else. I think what was more difficult was the social aspect, right? So making friends on the team, just being different than somebody else, right? So I think that being different can be hard. It's something that's being celebrated more and more now, but also it is hard when you're more different and everybody else is a certain way. So I think that that part was probably a little more difficult for me, but then also just the communication between the coach and the player. So I had to do a little bit extra work to make sure that I got the things that I needed, to be able to learn about the game, to be able to succeed in the way that I could, whereas other players maybe didn't have to work quite as hard. So sometimes it's you don't really notice how hard it was or how different it was until later in life when you're able to kind of sit and reflect on how your journey has been, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. When you hit the college game for the first time, did you feel a different level of inclusivity with your new teammates and or not? Did you have a difficult journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as you got older, the more explanation kind of had you had to do, right? So being able to be comfortable in what am I willing to share about myself in order to get the best out of this experience for them and for me, right? So in a team environment, you know, sometimes they talk about how teams are family, how teams are all of this, and that is true. But I also think that there's work that goes into being in a family scenario, right? You don't always love being with your family. You don't always get along with being with your family. You're different than your family. And being able to be okay with where you're at and then also be willing to be vulnerable enough to meet them halfway and then have them reciprocate. I was lucky enough that they chose to reciprocate. So I came in, said, hey, this is what I got. This is how I operate. This is what I need to succeed on my end, but also for the team as a whole. And they stepped up to the plate. So I was extremely lucky in that way. I don't think everybody is as lucky in that way. But I also will say on the playing side, I was a center midfielder for as long as I can remember. And because of the challenges of communicating on the field and just because it was a faster paced game, I ended up getting shifted into a center back role so that I could see the field in front of me. And then I've been a center back ever since. So that's been an interesting kind of change. So having to change from a center midfielder position to a center back position, which is interesting.
Well, and you said that you've been really lucky, but it's clear you have really good advocating skills. Like I assume you've had to learn how to advocate for yourself, but is any of that, was that taught to you as a child? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the role that my parents had in all of this has been monumental. So they are people who kind of just took what we were dealt with and then just ran with it, right? So yes, there are challenges that I face that other people don't face. Yes, there are things that are different for me, but that in no way means that I can't do the same things as other people. It just looks a little different. So I think them that I don't know that that was explicitly said to me, but that was what I felt. And so being able to have the space to go as high and as far as I wanted to go, and then I got to do what I wanted to do with that has been huge for me. But also, I was paired with a teacher of the deaf when I was really young. 3, and she was with me up until I graduated high school. And I remember she would sit me down in elementary school early, and she would sit me down and she would say she had a checklist, and she showed me the checklist and she would show the teachers the checklist. And every time she met with me, she would make sure that I went through every single thing on that checklist. And on that checklist was, did you go up to the teacher and give them your device? Did you ask questions in class? Did you, and the list goes on. And if I didn't do them, she would ask the teachers too, and they were honest. And if she would say, hey, why didn't you give the device to the teacher? And I'd be like, because whatever. I was a kid, you know, you make up excuses. And she said, you know, you have to advocate for yourself. You're not going to get the things you need unless it comes from you. And so that's why I have you do these things. And I'm forever grateful for that. I think that it's hard to learn how to be comfortable in your own skin, especially when you are different, and to be able to have been given really practical tools on how I can succeed in life has been huge for me to be where I am today. So
Absolutely. You're so well spoken too, as far as like your journey and your needs from childhood. I think that's awesome. So you finish college and you're on the national team. And you've been on the national team 10 years. Is that right?
it'll be 12 years this year, so 2012.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Oh my gosh.
I know. It's crazy.
Um, so I want to talk about that because the changes from the last 12 years on the national team for you have been huge when we look at visibility and representation. And I mean, your guys' success is amazing, amazing. So, can you tell our listeners about sort of the beginning to sort of now?
Yeah. I mean, where do you start, right? It's been 12 years of I could talk for hours on the team, and I think that, like you said, the growth has been exponential. I would say even in the last 2 to 3 years, right? So, but 12 years ago, it was my first experience on a plane by myself. It was my first experience in a setting where I'm surrounded by 20 to 30 women who are just like me, who operate in the world the way that I do. Sometimes it's different, but sometimes it's similar. And on the team, I would say the team itself, the way the team was comprised, was different. So, how do I explain this? So on the team, you have to have a certain level of deafness to qualify to be on the team. So we have to have 55 decibels or more of a hearing loss in your best ear to qualify for the team. Okay. But with that comes a lot of different people who some are signing only. They use ASL as their primary form of communication. You have people like me who communicate verbally, maybe use devices. You also have people that are kind of in between, right? They may use devices or they may not. They may use their voice and they also sign. So with that, in any team, you have people who come from different backgrounds, who come from different perspectives, who have different qualities that they bring to the team. We also have an added layer of different communication styles. So figuring out the best way to communicate the best of the team so we can come together. And I think that has grown over the years, right? So we see a technology. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here,
No,
but
this is great. This is
yeah,
good. This is
yeah,
good.
yeah. So we have seen the growth exponentially in that sense also. So as we see technology grow, you're starting to see more and more individuals who maybe use devices and communicate like myself. But that's not to say that we still don't honor and respect the variety of different methods of communication on the team, right? So when I first joined the team, we were very grassroots, right? We would get told, hey, you need to bring a white shirt, a black shirt, white shorts, black socks, and white socks. And that was what we trained in every day. We paid our way to all of our camps. We fundraised money. The amount of money that I've asked people to pay to support my dreams is pretty unreal. So thank you to everybody who did that. And just like going from that space, right? We're coming in. We are lucky if we get 8 days a year to train together, and that is on our own dime. We've lost players because they can't afford to play. We have struggled just to like get to the soccer space, and let alone work on all of the community stuff that we need to do, right? So that happened 12 years ago. It's been growing, growing, growing. We had a coach, his name is John. He stepped down, and then came in Amy Griffin and Joy Fawcett, who are legends, legendary in the game. And they have been massive for our growth and visibility of the team. So they came on board. Still wasn't night and day. Like, it wasn't night and day. We still had to work, right? They were really helpful in getting the word out and then making sure that we stayed true to ourselves in the whole process. And then 2 3 years ago, U.S. Soccer picked us up, so we are now officially an extended national team. If you don't know what an extended national team is, it's you have the senior national team, men's and women's, and then you have the extended national team. So that includes beach, that includes futsal, that include power. It includes CP, TBI, and stroke. It includes deaf soccer. There's a couple of other entities that are not quite included yet, but they will be soon. So stay tuned. Yeah. And with that, we've been able to use that platform to reach even more deaf and hard of hearing people. We've gotten the word out. We've gotten so many good things from this. It was a long time coming. We finally got here, and the work is not done. So we still have plenty of work to go.
Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, growth is amazing.
it is.
Um, when you were talking about Amy and Joy coming on, now, do both of them sign? And was that something that, I mean, obviously that would be important. Um, I know obviously they're great soccer coaches. Amy was my regional team coach a
Oh,
long time ago, but I love her. And Joy is a Cal alum, which I'm a Cal alum. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about having coaches who are not traditionally in that space, or maybe they are and we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the coaches who make the choice to come and coach our team are making a choice to take everything that comes with that, right? And so not only are they having to come in and teach and educate on soccer and make sure that we perform on the field, they're also having to deal with the nuances. And I say deal with, they're choosing to accept that all the nuances that come within the community, the deaf community, right? So they came in. Most of the coaches that I've experienced do not sign. They are not signers. Amy and Joy are great in that they try. They do try. Every time they come, they get a little bit better. And I think that effort goes a long way. But we are always stacked with interpreters. So we did start with one. It is customary to, it is important that we always have two interpreters at one time. And even two is a lot for 25 to 30 people. So we've been upgraded to having three interpreters. So we usually have interpreters that are right next to them all the time. So they're communicating in their primary method of communication, which is verbally. And then we make sure that we have the ASL representation there for those who need it and use it regularly. So,
And they've really helped visibility in the soccer community. I can remember 2021 maybe, they started to kind of, your team started to pop up more on social media
yeah.
in different places. I know Leslie Gallimore all of a sudden was posting about you, and so I think that their level of fame maybe really helped. But I think what's hard is your guys's record speaks for itself. Can you talk about your record for a second and let listeners know what that is?
Right. So I think it's 37, 0, and 1, or maybe it's 38 now, 0 and 1.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Like you didn't need them. I mean, obviously it helps, but your record is amazing. So has that been hard? Like we learn a lot when we lose, right? So has it been hard to have I guess not a lot of loss
Mhm.
to know what to work on? I mean, are you blowing teams like 4-0, or are you, is it hard games? Tell us a little bit about the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to kind of backstep a little bit. I mean, I think that Amy and Joy also know what it's like to be at a grassroots level, right? I mean, we look at the women's national team and they just got equal pay. They just got all these things. Joy and Amy were part of the 1991 team, right? Who a lot of those people paid their way to get to where they are. And look at the global game now. I mean, the growth has been massive just in those 20 years, right? So I think that they see a lot of themselves in us and our story. And I think that that's been really helpful to have somebody who understands at a real level they went through the stuff that we're going through in terms of visibility, in terms of access, in terms of just getting the game where it needs to be. And so I think that's helped us be able to find our way and find our footing. So shifting into our record and we've never lost an international match. I mean, what a privilege that is. I also think that is just a testament to the work that we put in as a team, but also I think that's a testament to where the growth of the global game is for deaf soccer and where we have room to grow, right? And so there are teams out there. The men programming, they have 32 teams regularly during their tournaments. We're lucky if we get 5. Right. So, the visibility and the growth that is available to us is still there. We still have work to do. So yes, I think that our team has succeeded. We've done really well in our own right. I think that the teams that are out there that are coming to the tournament keep getting better and better, just like we do, and that's been really exciting. And I can't wait for the day that we enter a tournament where there's 32 teams that are getting the same kind of treatment that we are, because we deserve it. So they deserve it, we deserve it. So no, I don't think that we blow teams out all the time. I would say last year in Malaysia, we played against a couple of teams that were giving us a run for our money. And it's always fun. Those are the games that you remember the most, the ones where you have to dig deep and band together and come through with the win. So I'm always thankful for those games, and really thankful to be a part of the team that keeps this streak alive. So we're here as long as we can, and I'm also excited for the day that we have to keep continuing to grow the game and playing teams that keep getting better and pushing us. So
Yeah. Well, with that record has come a DIFA World Championship for you too, correct?
yes,
And a Deaf Olympic gold medal.
yes.
That is so amazing. Was that something that was always a dream of yours, or was that just sort of like never thought it would happen, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I was younger, I said, someday I'm gonna be a professional soccer player. And I remember my mom tells this story. She says, I remember you came home one day and you said, "Mom, I'm gonna go to school to be a professional soccer player." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Like, what do you think that means?" And because at the time I didn't know what that meant, right? Like the professional leagues weren't a thing. All of that stuff wasn't a thing. And so I said, "Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna get my degree as a pro footballer, right?" And she's like, "Okay, honey, like whatever you want." And I said, someday I'd play for the national team, and I didn't know that the deaf women's national team was a thing. I don't think that I ever imagined it the way that it's happened for me, but what a dream it's been, to be able to play and put on the crest and play for the USA. So yes and no, I would say.
It's so cool. When you are not with the team, how do you stay fit? Who are you training with?
Yeah. So I think that after you graduate from college, things get a little bit harder to stay in shape and to stay active. So I played a couple of co-ed soccer teams. I play 8v8, sometimes 11v11, just trying to get my touches on the ball. I have a field about a mile away, so I can walk to the field and just go kick the ball around. And then we also have an app. So a lot of us live all over the country. We don't get to meet very often. Not like we have camps that are, a month long or however long. So a lot of it is done on our own time, and you just gotta dig deep and know that the person next to you that's going to be standing on the field next to you is also putting in the work. We also have a lot of girls that are still in college, some in high school, so they are getting the touches on the ball. They are staying in shape. So we got to keep up with the young ones now. So doing my best and just doing most of it on our own, and thankful for the times that we get to train together.
That's where I got to meet you, was in San Jose here, and we got to play 7v7 indoor. And you showed up, and I was like, "Who is this girl? You were so good." I was amazed.
Well, thank you.
And you were living here at the time,
Mhm.
because you also were doing work with Bossy. Is
Yes.
that correct? Can you
Yeah.
tell me what Bossy is and how you're involved?
Yeah, so Bossy is the Bay Area Women's Sports Initiative, and their whole mission is to mobilize the women's sports community to engage, inspire, and empower young girls and also young individuals with disabilities. So they primarily serve ages second grade through fifth grade, providing access to physical education. It's an after school program for the girls, and it's an in school program for kids with disabilities. And really, our whole mission is to make sure that it's a barrier free space for individuals to be able to get in the game, right? So I think so often we're starting to see the growth of the women's game, basketball, soccer, I mean swimming, even gymnastics, whatever. Like the growth is awesome, and it's so fun to see that. But more and more we're seeing that representation matters. More and more we're seeing that girls who play become women who lead, and I think that that's the whole mission behind what Bossy does. So for them, I used to work for them as an athlete leader on their athlete leadership team, which basically provides programming directly to the kids. And then I stepped into a program coordinator role. So basically, just kind of went under the program director and just made sure that all the programming ran smoothly. So much fun. And then now I sit on their board of directors, and I am a community member. So I represent a certain subset of people and try to provide perspective when I can, and really just grateful that I get to be along for the ride. So
Yeah, they are so lucky to have you. And we got to see each other recently at the Bossy Gala.
Yes.
I am a consultant for Bossy on the side, and I write their middle school curriculum currently that they are looking to continue that second through fifth grade programming into the middle school and eventually I think high school
Yes.
area. So I'm excited for that. But it was so lovely to see you, and you had such an amazing speech at that event. You seem very like you do speeches a lot, or you've spoken at events, like you're very well spoken. So, can you tell everyone what that speech was for? And then if you do go on to do other speeches and events.
Well, that was very kind of you to say. I did not eat that whole entire day because I was so nervous about the speech. So I don't do speeches a lot. It's nice to know that it sounds like I do, which is cool. So I'll take that feedback any day. Yeah, so that it was just a keynote speech for the event. So it's a annual gala fundraising event for just a night of fun. So it's not like any other gala that you go to. You get to wear your favorite sports jersey. So we were rocking all of our sports jerseys, and basically, I just got to go up there and share my story and also share how because my story is what it is, I've gotten to be in spaces to hopefully elevate the game and create more space for people like me and other people who maybe aren't like me to also have space to be able to come in and do the things that they need and want to do. So I feel very privileged to be in the spaces that I've been able to be in. Just because I don't think that it's for me. It's for me to keep continuing to create space for the ones that are going to come after me that'll take it even farther than me. So, yeah, it was such a fun event. I ate immediately after, so don't worry. Yeah, and then I am open to having more opportunity to share my story and hopefully elevate spaces for individuals with disabilities, but also for women. So if you want to reach out, you can, but if not, that's okay because I like having 3 meals a day, so we're good.
Well, I can definitely foresee wanting to have you involved here at Female Footballers on the mentorship side. And I know we talked a little bit about that, but I'm going to follow up with you after this call. But most recently, was it about a month ago, almost a month ago, your team had a friendly alongside the senior women's national team. And I want to hear a little bit about that experience because that was a new thing and probably pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that was. I had an interview, and in that interview, I was just saying that you do dream, right? And you dream of things, but you don't always dream what actually happened, right? And so, it was a dream to get the team to a place where we are funded and we are taken care of and we're represented, right? And like, so to me, the last 12 years have been involved in that and trying to make sure that the girls that come, the women that come on the team after me don't have to worry about that stuff, right? So we're here, the work is not done. And then they just keep throwing things. You have cherry on top, then you have whipped cream, then you have, like chocolate drizzles. And so I think that being able to be represented and to be able to play alongside the women's national team, to get to meet them, to train in spaces just like they do, to wear the same jersey that they get to wear is that's what dreams are made of. So yeah, that whole week was a trip. I mean, the excitement, the girls, the other ladies on the team were just beside themselves. To be able to do that together and to be able to see and feel all the 12 years of my experience, but the years before, we have people on the team that have been here longer than me. But for us to sit in that space and just be really grateful for that, but then also really excited for what we get to experience now, with just brought me to tears that week. Gave me the chills, and we tell each other pressure is a privilege. So yes, you feel the pressure. Yes, you feel all this extra whatever, but really at the end of the day, it's playing soccer, the game you love with the people you love, and you have to remember that, stay true to that, and just go out there and do your thing. So can't say enough about how exciting that week was, and just how impactful that week was on everything that we've done and everything that we have coming. So
Who is your favorite player that you got to meet?
Naomi Goma, she's my girl. So I got to do a video with her actually, and I was so nervous to do it, but she also seemed just as nervous and she's down to earth, a really good person, and just rock solid on the field. So Naomi Goma was my number one for sure. So
That's awesome. She's
yeah,
my number one too.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I saw your video and it was really good. You could tell she was nervous because she's signing and I don't think she knew how to sign, right?
No, she didn't, but she rocked it and she kept saying, I hope I look natural. I'm like, man, you look like you've been doing this for forever. So you look great and yeah, she's great. So but they have so many rock stars on that team and not only are they rock stars on the field, but they're really good people and they're doing really good things out there. So it's just cool to be associated with them.
Yeah, so awesome. So what's like you're talking about dreams. What is left for you to dream of? What's the future hold? What do you want to still accomplish in the soccer world?
In the soccer world. I think for me, I think it's just the growth of the game globally. So I think for us, we've gotten the team to a certain level, and not by ourselves necessarily, but with the help of a lot of people. And I think that standard should be consistent globally. So we're starting to see other teams, try to emulate the equal pay that the women's national team is getting. And I think that that's deserved and should be the standard anyway. And so for us, I think just making sure that globally we're growing the game, not just internally, but globally we're growing the game. I think we can do it. So we're coming for all those countries that don't yet have a women's team. They deserve to have one. And then I think for us, I'm also involved on the U.S. Deaf Soccer Association board. And right now, after having a senior national team be within the extended national team realm, we can now focus on grassroots efforts. And so we are doing youth clinics across the country to try to engage more deaf and hard of hearing youth in an environment that is accessible to them, that is inclusive to them, that they can learn and grow and have fun playing the best sport in the world. So that's kind of my passion right now, trying to grow the youth side of the game, and then also trying to grow the global side of the game. And obviously, hopefully, we can continue to bring a couple more wins down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have aspirations to coach? Do you want
Um, I Yeah, I think someday, I think that'd be really awesome. I keep pushing for my best friend Kate Ward. I keep pushing for her to take the role, and I'd happily follow her any day. So someday, maybe. But right now, just trying to enjoy playing and see how many more years I can get out of it. So
Yeah, well, oh my gosh, this has been so wonderful. I love talking to you. I'm so excited for the future of the Deaf Women's National Team. I think that you guys are fantastic and the growth, you can feel it, you can see it. And I love that you guys are putting efforts into the youth area because, we need more players. We need more players. And like you said, the bigger it is here, the bigger it can be everywhere. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And I'll be hitting you up after this to talk more about your involvement here. I just think you're a badass. So thank you so much for your time.
well, thank you so much for your support and for always wanting us to be involved. So anytime, I'll be looking for your call, your text after this. All right,
All right. Thanks so much.
no problem.
All right.